This year, Miss USA will be held in Los Angeles, California. Let's talk about it. Considering that I was born in California and I'm very familiar with the state, I don't love this idea. If you're not familiar with what's been going on in downtown Los Angeles, I would say just check out TikTok, social media, do a quick Google search. Unfortunately, what's happening in Skid Row is it's not great and it hasn't really been improving. And Skid Row is actually one of the places that I used to volunteer. There's a union rescue mission there. And personally, I would love to see the contestants spend some time there and to volunteer and actually meet the people in the community where they'll be competing at Miss USA. I would love to see that. I hope that they're going to be doing that. Just be really careful if you've never been to this area and plan on visiting. I've just seen videos online where people have made a wrong turn down a street and they end up in a place that they weren't prepared to be at and they're scared and suddenly it's 1 a.m. and they can't get an Uber. Or I've seen other people that walk down a street and they're wearing the wrong color and that can spark an altercation. So those things are very serious in that area and you can avoid it for sure, but just be really cautious when you're walking around downtown LA, and I would just really caution you not to walk around at night, especially alone if you're a woman. Go with groups of friends. If you have never experienced California traffic, specifically LA traffic, it's going to be an experience for you. Things may seem like they're close, they are so much farther than you think. For me, that's one of the biggest cons for hosting the pageant in LA. I'm already thinking about the events that they're probably going to schedule for the contestants. My guess is that the contestants, some of them, are going to hike to the Hollywood sign. I would assume that they would go to shoot some footage in Rodeo Drive, similar to what they shot in downtown Reno this past year. I would guess that maybe they take the contestants to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Those are probably some cool B-roll shots for them. They'll probably take them somewhere like Venice Beach, just because Venice is so iconic, but Venice is, it's not a pretty beach. And frankly, our beaches are just not like Hawaii, so please don't expect that. We are known for our waves, not the clarity of the water. So be prepared. And the water is a lot colder than you probably think it is, but if you grew up in California, you're just used to it. So it's not really shocking to us, but be prepared for a chilly ocean if you plan on visiting the beach. The hotel itself where the contestants are going to be staying is a really, really cool historic venue. Don't get me wrong. They have shot music videos, television shows. I believe they used to host the Academy Awards at the Biltmore years ago in Old Hollywood. It's a really, really cool hotel. I actually stayed at this hotel when I went to go watch Mr. and Miss Supranational last year. You should check that vlog out so you can see it for yourself. Considering that I have been there, what really concerns me is the overall safety of not so much the contestants, because as a contestant at Miss USA, we had house moms, we had security, we had roll calls, we were never allowed to be on our cell phones while we were walking from point A to point B. So I'm not really worried about the contestants. Frankly, I'm worried about everybody that is going to be traveling and staying in downtown LA, especially if you've never stayed there. Since I grew up in Southern California, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just frankly used to, so I'm not gonna bat an eye. But if you are from a nice small town in the middle of America, or you live in an affluent neighborhood, you're probably going to be shocked by the current state of downtown Los Angeles right now. And it makes me really, really sad to say that. I really want to issue a word of caution to everybody to be on your toes if you're going to be staying at the Biltmore or in the downtown LA area, because right now there's a lot going on and there is a really, really big homeless encampment very close to the hotel. So as you can see, I'm going to show you right here on this map, Skid Row is a notorious street in downtown Los Angeles that is filled with crime, homelessness, and drug abuse. This is a mere 7-minute drive. Because it's so close and because there are thousands of people living on Skid Row right now, they don't just stay on that one street. There is an overflow of homelessness in the downtown area, unfortunately. When I stayed at the Biltmore last year, I did not feel safe at all in that area. In fact, over a decade ago at this point, I used to work in downtown LA in the Fashion District, which is right beside the Biltmore Hotel. And yes, it was a little bit scary at times, but I felt even more unsafe the last time that I went. This area of LA at the Biltmore is very close to Skid Row. Be really, really careful if you're traveling. Like, you should always keep your head on a swivel. I will tell you, on one corner though, there is a Starbucks, so that's pretty convenient. And then essentially across the street, right across from Pershing Square, there is a really nice restaurant. It's called Perch, and they have a great brunch, but they are primarily known for their outdoor music. So you could grab a great meal, brunch through dinner, and it's a rooftop. So it is a really, really beautiful spot that I would check out and I would recommend if you will be attending the pageant. I popped up some quick prices for the Biltmore, and I can see a range from $158 to $234 a night, depending on where you book. I feel like that's pretty reasonable for a pageant hotel. And the other thing is, LAX has a lot of great flight deals. One thing you really need to know if you're flying in LAX is that they changed the way that car pickup now works there. You can no longer get picked up in the actual terminal. What's gonna happen is you're actually going to look for a bus, and you will take this shuttle bus outside of the airport, and then there is going to be a car lot, and luckily there's a little bit of seating and there's a little bit of awning and covering, and that is where you will actually meet up with your Uber driver. So just be prepared for that. The other thing I don't love about hosting the pageant in a city like Los Angeles is that literally no one will care. Cities like Los Angeles, they don't tend to do as much for contestants. I feel like I had such a great experience in Shreveport at Miss USA because we were special. Miss USA doesn't come around every weekend for them. And so we really drew a crowd in Shreveport. That's why we were able to have our pageant at a coliseum. We haven't seen audiences that big literally since 2018. The Reno Tahoe Theater is significantly smaller than the Shreveport Coliseum. And since then, and post-COVID, we have not got our audiences back. So having a pageant in LA is not really helping you. Nobody's gonna care. Now, the upside, I think, is for anybody that's gonna be visiting LA to watch the pageant. So obviously there's gonna be a lot of things that you can do that are bucket list items, but I really wanna prepare you for this. I would highly recommend, if you are set on seeing a lot of different things in LA, rent a car. It's gonna be worth it. I know it's gonna probably be a little pricey, but the car is really gonna help you if you wanna see a lot of things, so you're not gonna be waiting on an Uber driver. Now, the downside of renting a car though is going to be the parking situation. So parking is really, really confusing in LA. Unfortunately, it's very easy to get a ticket there. You have to pay so much attention to the posted signs, and because there's a lot of traffic, it's also just not easy to park when you have 5 cars backed up behind you honking at you because they want you to get out of the way. Now, if you're gonna be scoping out the area, something that you can do is go to the Fashion District. So as you can see, the Fashion District, it's within 10 minutes of the Biltmore Hotel. Now, the Fashion District is gonna be kind of like Canal Street in New York. So you're gonna find those designer dupes. You're gonna find stores with a lot of evening gowns. You will be able to find all sorts of fashion, primarily fabrics and finishings. That's what you're gonna see in the garment district in LA. There's also little spots that you can eat that locals go to. It's a fun place to see, definitely. Just be prepared once again to bring, I would say, at least $20 for parking if you do rent a car. If you're interested in going to Venice Beach, when I looked it up, Google Maps said it would take 41 minutes to get there from the Biltmore. Honestly, I would say plan for at least an hour plus however much time it would take you to park or to wait for your Uber to get to Venice Beach. Venice, I know it's the thing that you see in movies, but it isn't the most beautiful beach. Instead, I would suggest checking out the Santa Monica Pier. That one's pretty cute, and they have like the Ferris wheel, and so if you have kids with you, that might be something you want to do with kids. Now, if you want to see just a more beautiful, chill beach, you can check out Manhattan Beach. You can go to Playa del Rey. Those are some really beautiful places as well. Now, if your heart was set on Malibu, I really wouldn't suggest it. The weather has to be just right. It's often pretty cloudy, and most of the beach access is only in front of private homes, and the beaches are quite short there, so it's not really gonna be what you expect. I don't think a trip to Malibu would really be worth it for you if you're visiting, but if you wanna go, Google Maps says it would take you an hour to get there, but I would plan for at least an hour and a half, especially if you go during rush hour. Many of you are probably gonna wanna see the Hollywood sign, and yes, you can hike up to it. As far as I know, you can still do that. And that's about 33 minutes away from the Biltmore. The reason I say get the car though is look at these Uber prices. You're probably gonna be spending a lot more if you're Ubering everywhere. One place that I would say you should check out that might not be on the top of everybody's list is the Getty Museum. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is a little bit of a trek. It's 30 minutes from the hotel. I would say plan for 45, frankly, but this place is so beautiful. And one thing that you can do that I would suggest is to go to somewhere like Trader Joe's beforehand, pack a little picnic, and then go enjoy that picnic at the Getty. Gorgeous views. Of course, the museum itself and the artwork there are stunning, but that would be one of my top recommendations. If you want to go to the iconic Hollywood Walk of Fame, that is within 30 minutes driving, and that's also where Mann's Chinese Theater is. That's what I mapped on Google as an example for you. Now be really, really careful. Just to let you know, if you're not used to this, there are people outside dressed up as characters, and if you take a photo with them, they're gonna ask you to pay for that photo. So those photos are not free. Just be prepared for that. Now, if you are over the age of 21, there are some clubs in LA. I wouldn't say that they quite compare to what you might experience in cities like Las Vegas or New York. They're not quite like that, but if that is something you want to see, there are places like Beauty and Essex that you can check out. I would highly recommend searching for the clubs that you're interested in going to and seeing their tagged posts and looking for a promoter to connect with so that you can get in that way so you don't have to pay a cover or wait in line. And those clubs are going to be in Hollywood or on the Sunset Strip. Many people are probably going to go to Rodeo Drive, and for me, that's always been out of the budget to shop there. It is really, really beautiful, but if you want to be able to shop somewhere that's a little more within price range, I would check out the Grove. That's a great place. There's lots of restaurants there. It's a really beautiful outdoor area, and it's just a fun place to go and hang out if you want to get outside of the hotel for a bit. And that is about 30 minutes from the hotel. Rodeo Drive is 40 minutes according to Google Maps, but I would plan for 45 to 50 minutes. Now, if you're really ambitious and you're like, I'm in California, I'm gonna go to Disneyland. Disneyland is not close to LA, not close. So Google is telling me here that at the time that I searched, that it would take about an hour to get to Disneyland from the Biltmore. I would say give yourself at least an hour and a half if you plan on making that drive. When I used to commute from Orange County to LA, my morning commute took an hour and a half from by Disneyland to just about the Biltmore in the Fashion District. And then my commute home took a minimum of an hour and a half if I was lucky, but it could get up to as much as 3 hours to get back if there was extensive construction or an accident. So if you plan on going to Disneyland, I honestly would not do the commute from LA to Disneyland. It's gonna be exhausting. Instead, I would say book a different day in Orange County. Like have a separate hotel booking, stay by Disneyland, be close, you'll be by everything. You're already gonna be exhausted at a theme park anyways, so that's a much better option for you. If you really wanna travel across California, and if you wanna see other things, I know some people are interested in going to San Diego, and let me tell you, there are so many different gorgeous places in San Diego. There's Coronado, there's La Jolla, there's just so many amazing beach cities there, and they all have a different type of vibe. So do your homework on that depending on what you're actually looking for. Do you want something way more like California casual, or do you want something that's more upscale? They're all going to offer you different things. In terms of other beaches that aren't as far south, because a drive to San Diego from the Biltmore is about 3 hours minimum, and that's if you don't get lost. But if you wanted to be a little bit closer, I would say in Orange County, there's some beautiful beaches. So there's Newport Beach, lovely and amazing. And then there's also Corona del Mar, that's a nice option. And then of course, Laguna Beach, which was made very famous and iconic from the show, The OC. We also have to talk about food. So when it comes to food in California, there are so many great restaurants, but I would say overall, the thing that we're most well known for is gonna be our Mexican food. We just have such a wide variety of restaurants that are catering to Mexican cuisine, also probably because we're so close to the border, right? After living in New York, California is not a place I would seek out Italian food anymore. Nope, not interested at all. I have stopped ordering and eating pizza in California altogether just because it's nothing like New York pizza. I much prefer it. Of course, that's a personal preference, but in general, I wouldn't go to California looking for a slice or Italian food. You're better off sticking to Mexican cuisine. And then of course we do lots of other things. But if you're gonna be there, get some great Mexican. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that this episode helped you if you plan on attending Miss USA. Let me know if you have any other questions about LA or if you need any other recommendations for LA, Orange County, San Diego. I'm happy to share those with you in the comments. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you very soon.